You know, we were talking about just a while ago. You know, I've been in games where weather can be a factor. You know, with in terms of wind and it being wet. You know, I remember playing in a game when I was at Colorado. We played at Iowa State, and there was actually a tornado came through there right before the game, and you really honestly could not throw it. You know, going into their facility in, it was such a strong wind. So, you know, weather can play a factor. You know, in your decisions. You know, we've talked about it as we've worked through this week. Started talking about it today. You know, how it may affect us, and you know what the plan may be. And really, honestly, you got to get to game time. You know, you got to get there, and you got to see what the weather's like. And you know, is wind a factor? Is, you know, the weather conditions in terms of wetness? You know, is it rain? Is it snow? Is it slippery? All those type of things.
Could it actually be in y'all's advantage in that kind of establishment?
Yeah, it could be. You know, it could be because, you know, what we're doing. You know, what we're doing, how we're running the ball. You know, what we're hanging our hat on right now. It could be a nice fact. You know, nice help to us.
How big of an asset has Joe been with just his intimate knowledge of their personnel from his 9 years there?
Yeah, obviously he's got a lot of knowledge about their players, and you know, he'd be the first one to tell you they've made some changes. You know, he's seen that defense obviously every day, but they've made some changes like all good coaches do. And you know, but he's got a good knowledge of the players. He's got a real knowledge of what they like to do in their program, how they like to set up their their game their game thoughts in terms of an entire football team. So. You know, you've been at a place 9 years, you probably know a little bit.
Shawn, can you talk about when you guys were in camp, the decision to move back from defense to offense, and just kind of how he's evolved into being a really significant contributor on offense?
Yeah, he, when we take all the freshmen, we typically do this when we have a freshman practice. We always have a freshman practice, and we put them through a gauntlet of drills that, just lets us evaluate them as players, what their skill set is. And we had the, at the NFL Combine, there's a catch drill that they do that's cross-field catch drill. And you fire about 6 balls at them, and they have to rapid-fire catch them. They have to move because they're flying across the field. He had the best hand-eye coordination of the whole group. I mean, I started politicking right away. In fact, I ran up to Charlie and said, "Hey, 47 has got unbelievable hands, and he can run." And he, from that time on, we were good at backer. We needed some depth at tight end. We needed to. He'd been a high school tight end, played the position, and he was really a perfect fit for like what we'd like to do with our moving tight end, our H. So we've grown him. We've given him more significant time. The Texas Tech game was where he got his most time, but that's the first time we felt like he had an intimate knowledge of what we were trying to do, and you could see him executing it during the week on film. And he's been really good since. His confidence level has skyrocketed since that game.
Do you think he's been productive when he's touched the ball? Is he touching it enough in your mind?
Well, we always go in with packages for him. We've started back the Texas Tech game when he rolled back off the shelf, giving him a package. We didn't know how far we could go with him in that game. Each week we're giving him more and more. This week he's got more. So we'll continue to push him. We need to grow him. We develop packages for him, different ways for him to touch the football, and then we use him as chum too. We'll put him out there and those things that people are going to see on film. They're going to know, hey, they do these types of things with him. Like for example, the last touchdown run, he really created it because the West Virginia people believed he was carrying the football. So he did a real nice job of faking it. Ty did too, and it just opened up a large inside seam. So we'll use him not only to carry the ball, but also to set up other things off of those things we give him the football at. And then we've got to grow him in his base offense too. He's been away from us for a while. So he's getting more assignment sound, and each week, in fact, I met with him today. We're going to have more of a package for him this week, and keep putting him in it more and more.
How many plays was Steven on the field?
I'd have to ask. I'd go ask Les. If I sit here and gave you that, I'd be guessing.
I think
Coach, I'm sorry, Coach. you know, each kid responds to coaching differently. Some people like, you know, are yelled at and they respond, and some people you gotta, you know, wear kid gloves. When it comes to Ty, you know, what kind of coaching does he respond best to when it comes to you?
Well, when it comes to me, you know, he knows how I am. I've tried to be a teacher with him. You know, I try to understand the personality of the player, and you know what makes him tick. You know how, you know, and I've been a teacher with him, but he knows that when, you know, he knows I've got a quick trigger too when something's not to detail, and he's felt that sting before too. And you know, sometimes you have to do that to get a player's attention, and I always make sure that when that happens that I go back and explain to him exactly why, you know, and he's very, very receptive, and he wants to be coached hard. Ty's been really, you know, he'll take criticism, you know, he takes criticism on the field. He takes criticism off the field. You know, we had a long session there on Sunday, just he and I. You know, where I could get, you know, I wanted to know exactly what he was thinking, and him to know exactly what I was thinking, and exactly what I see, and break it down to detail what he needed to do, and where he was needs to improve his game.
Do you get the sense that he's having fun?
Ty?
Yeah,
Ty's having fun. Ty's the kind of guy that, you know, he enjoys, you know, he loves the game. You know, he loves the game, and, you know, he gets, I think one of the things that you see in Ty is he's a young player who is, you know, developing his confidence. And, you know, I think when the players become more confident, you see them enjoy things a lot more because they got control of it. He's still learning. Every day he goes out there, it's a different, you know, it's a new learning experience. And that's because he's seeing different defenses. He saw entirely different defense this past week than what he's been seeing. So, you know, all those things will help him grow in his future as he competes here.
you're not around him with us on Mondays,
Mm-hmm.
but you almost feel bad for him because he wins the game and all the questions are, why aren't you playing well? How does he handle that?
I think, you know, Charlie does a nice job with our players, and, you know, we do the same thing. You know, I try to do the same things with him. You know, there's you know, all the, you know, great coaches I've been around. You know, I was with a guy by the name of Weave Eubanks that taught me this lesson a long time ago, and he coached two Hall of Famers, Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath. And he told me, he said, listen, those guys are always the first guys to catch all the criticism because they're the quarterback. They got to understand that's in the job description. So the number one thing you need to do as a coach is you need to help them understand that is part of the job description. It's got to be spitballs off the battleship, as he put it. You got to move on, because you can't let that hinder your progress or hinder your path to your success or where you want to end up and go. So, you know, all that's, you know, that's the fathering, the mentoring part is us as coaches too. We understand what the world's like. We understand what the, you know, sports world's like. We've got to keep pushing, and at the same time, you know, help them find their way through those things.
Is he at a point where 9 games in where we can place expectations on him, or is he not at that point where we can say, you know, he's ready to go?
Yeah, I think, you know, my opinion right now is he's still everything, you know, like he's still seeing things for the first time. You know, he's still getting, you know, because the defenses week in, week out, you know, will change. There's differences. You know, we were talking about, you guys know better about this than the young man that plays up there that's having such a great year at TCU. Sounds like, you know, I don't know. You guys know better than I do. Somebody made the analogy to me. You know, how he's grown in his career. You know, I've been through this with a bunch of kids, and they've all been, you know, kind of went down the similar paths to different degrees. Absolutely, but what's similar is, you know, the inconsistency early and what becomes consistent later, and that's when, you know, they get it. You know, Teddy, you know, the last one I went through it before Ty, Teddy had the same learning curves as a freshman. You know, and you know how fast they get through it goes back to how, you know, maybe what their background was in football. You know, Teddy had a little bit, probably more background passing than what Ty's got, so he's went through it a little bit quicker. I've had guys that haven't had that kind of background. You know, they've gone through it slower. So you just gotta, you know, work your way through the process.
Is he a little too gun shy about contact and a little too wary of it?
Well, you know, I think you know, when quarterbacks have to have the help and the aid of the offensive line, the backs, you know, the tight ends obviously are involved in the protection of protecting them. You know, and then the second thing is, the receivers getting open. So everybody shares in the responsibility of the play being successful. The next part of it is, being able to understand that's part of the job description. You got to hang in there and you got to make throws, and you got to have pocket confidence and know how to manage and function in a pocket. And those are all things I can tell you after coaching as long as I have. Those are things that really are things that have to be learned. So again, part of the process.
But Shawn, the thing about it, though, you have 2 games left in the regular season here, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can't sit here and say that this is my guy going forward. He's not.
Well,
Is
in our program, the way it always will be here is that we'll compete every spring, every winter, every training camp. There'll be a job open for every position. That's the way we do it. So Ty will have to continue to work and grow himself. Because there will be, we're looking for, a championship quarterback, and when you're looking for a championship quarterback, as you're looking for a championship receiver, et cetera, you're looking for the best. And what you need in your room is you need every room. I'm talking about every room. Quarterback, obviously, most importantly, I think, in this business, you got to have competition. You got to have guys in there competing. And, as we grow the program here, we basically have got the hand dealt us, and then our job now is to improve the hand dealt us. And that's number one task right now is to make sure that room has a lot of competition in it. I'd like to have 4 guys in there that are after each other. They're competing for chairs, the first chair, second chair, third chair, fourth chair. And then, that's how you grow a football team. You're only as good as your competition in your room. So you're exactly right. And that's how great I think teams are built. I think that's how great quarterbacks are made. They're made through competition. I think one of the things you run into in recruiting sometimes today is who's there.
Right.
I wouldn't worry. I want the guy who doesn't care who's there. I want the guy who wants to be the guy. And those are the guys that send us. All the guys I've been around that have had that attitude have become great quarterbacks.
Do you worry that his teammates have lost faith in Ty?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, that's not the way that we're built. That's not the way that they're built. We don't point fingers at anybody, because at a moment's notice, the football gods will get you. So you just stay humble. You keep working hard. To be honest with you, you put yourself. It's no different than the line of work you guys are in. You're counting on each other, right? And you understand that if you're giving your best and you keep working, that's what you want to see. You want to see a guy who's keeps working and keeps coming to work every day to improve, and that's what Ty's always done.
Regardless who the quarterback is, Coach, I could be the quarterback as long as you got Malcolm and Jonathan back there.
There we go.
I'm proud of you and those guys.
See how positive my man is. They've been awesome, because both those guys have had to go through some, I'm sure for them, they would never say this, they would never admit to this, but I'm sure that early they were frustrated guys, that they, because they both are such high caliber players and competitors. And I'm really pleased and happy what's happening with them. They've got a real thing going right now with the offensive line, and they're playing really well, both of them, and they're feeding off each other. That's what's really cool. They're both feeding off each other. Jonathan. He didn't want to let Malcolm get a leg up on him. I bet you in their world, I know how competitive those two are. So it's really cool to see that happen for those guys, because they've been great teammates in that locker room and are true leaders on our side of the ball to help us get to where we're at with that run game today.
Was this the first time you saw him that it looked like last year on film?
Yeah, for John, yeah. The last 2 games in particular, because he made some jump cuts and then exploded, and I think we talked after the game briefly about it, but I feel like he's very confident about where he's at coming off his injury, because he's playing like he played last year. When I saw him on film last year, he made jump cuts that were explosive. I mean, he put foot in his dirt. He could cut through a weak shoulder of a defender, and he was gone, running through tackles. So he's really happened for him on the touchdown run at Texas Tech, because he made a move that's like, whoa, wow, that's pretty cool. It's really good.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coach.